An invasion of Taiwan is not going to start with a surprise missile strike. It's going to start with a blockade, and China is openly showing how that's going to happen. Last year, when we were covering Lai Ching-te's inauguration, we were expecting China to have some kind of reaction, but nothing like this. Just a few days after the ceremony, Taiwan's military started reporting a concerning amount of Chinese Navy ships around the country. And then the Defense Ministry told us they'd be holding a last-minute briefing. And when we got there, they released this map. In a matter of hours, dozens of Chinese Navy ships, Coast Guard ships, fighter jets, and drones had surrounded the main island of Taiwan. This was a new kind of military exercise by Beijing called Joint Sword, and officials in the United States sounded the alarm.
The People's Republic of China has embarked on a dangerous course and are on a dangerous course. Their aggressive maneuver around Taiwan right now are not exercises, as they call them. They are rehearsals. They are rehearsals for the forced unification of Taiwan to the mainland.
Since then, China has conducted similar exercises not once, not twice, but multiple times, giving us a glimpse of what is the most likely scenario for China to take Taiwan. So in this episode, we're going to be looking at how China would conduct a quarantine or a blockade, how long Taiwan could last, and what Taiwan and other allies could do to stop that.
So we really tried to distinguish in our research and writing between a quarantine and a blockade.
Shalom, shalom, double honors to the elders, single honors to the apostles, preaching and teaching us this word of truth and with sincerity as always. And in this lesson, I'm just going to go into this video here. Was titled China would start Taiwan invasion, frontline Taiwan. So I spoke on this last week. It says how China would start a Taiwan invasion, and spoke about this for a second last week as well. God, this is the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 9. Proclaiming this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up, rouse the warriors. Let all the fighting men draw near and attack. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weaklings say, I am strong. So this is what the Lord is going to come and bring. So what the Lord is going to come and do. Right here, you have it right there. joel3 here, verse 9. Proclaiming this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Put your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say, I am strong.
Just enforcing the law like they say with the Philippines.
So how would that work? Well, to go back to that first photo we showed you, it could start with China announcing exercises in a few zones near Taiwan's major ports. Only this time, they could be much closer to Taiwan and breach the country's air and maritime borders. But China could then announce that it's conducting a special law enforcement operation as punishment for what it calls Taiwanese separatist actions. That means ships bound for Taiwan would have to go all the way to China, and certain parts of the Taiwan Strait would be blocked off. Any ships that don't comply with Beijing's rules would be intercepted and possibly fired on.
I think in that case, what would be likely to see is, if not a bombardment, at least the threat of bombardment. And if not an invasion, at least a credible threat of invasion. Because I think that if there's a blockade that there's no signs of any invasion coming, Taiwan just has to not surrender. They just have to not give up. And they can survive as an fairly independent nation.
But that's easier said than done. Now you have to remember that Taiwan is an island nation, home to about 23 million people. And many people consider Taiwan's geography as a natural fortress in a conflict scenario. But that same strength is also its biggest weakness. As an island, Taiwan relies heavily on imports, and a lot of that passes through ports like this one in northern Taiwan. But how long could Taiwan last? Well, specifically, 96% of its energy and 70% of its food is all imported. But what if it's a full-on blockade? So nothing comes in and nothing comes out. Taiwan has enough liquid natural gas for 12 days of ordinary consumption, enough coal for 42 days.
And that's all going into Revelation 11 and 14. Which reads, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And that third woe is going to begin. It is going to start however it begins. This could, they say that Taiwan could be in China invaded. It could be a start to World War 3. We'll just have to see. Either way, we believe it's going to happen. However it happens. Now I got this other clip here. It's titled as See It. Violent mob attacks couple, burns car, Darien Street, take over time. So let's see this video here. Violent mob overruns street in New York City neighborhood.
Driving wildly, and things only escalated from there when they set a car on fire and physically attacked homeowners who tried to intervene. Here's more from that scene and a warning. This footage may be disturbing for some viewers.
Yo, Joe.
And as that violent unrest carried on, residents were apparently told to call a quality of life team and not the NYPD, leading to some major questions over what is to come once the next mayor takes office. Joining me now to discuss is former New York City Republican Councilman Joe Borelli. Joe, it's good to see you. So this all happened at 2:30 a.m. on Sunday, and some of the residents who tried to intervene were beat up, one so badly that this mob broke his rib and nose and even punched his wife. Who are these people, and why is this happening?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that even people who try to correct this behavior end up worse in this situation. But this is sort of a new trend. We're seeing this happen on TikTok and Instagram and social media, where people sort of take over a street and do all sorts of dangerous car tricks just to get attention. Unfortunately, this incident escalated beyond that when this neighbor came out and said, "Hey, maybe you don't want to cause a ruckus in front of my house at 2:30 in the morning." But this is sort of the lawlessness that we could expect to see when police departments are defunded, when recruitment is down, when the number of overall officers decrease.
When police is defunded.
Because there were calls to the police department that night. And unfortunately, the precinct that covers this area simply did not have enough officers to respond. They were responding to what they thought was more pressing incidents nearby. And it took an extra time for it to be addressed as what it was, which was an assault on a neighbor.
Yeah, here's a quote from Vicky Palladino, who represents this area. She said on X, response to this incident was less than ideal. Residents reporting the incident to 911 were told that quality of life teams and 911 should handle the situation. Unacceptable. In fact, these violent street takeovers should be met with maximum force by the police department. The police later apologized and said that they thought that this was a drag racing incident and they didn't have enough police officers at the time to handle this situation. That raises a lot of questions because the police commissioner right now, Jessica Tisch, says she wants to increase the number of police officers on the force. The incoming mayor says the numbers we have right now are fine. So what do you think about this debate?
He's wrong. I mean, he's 100% wrong. We had 2,500 officers resign in 2025 or retire in 2025. Mayor Adams announced the department would budget for 5,000 additional officers to make up for multiple years of shortfall. That is the right approach. Mayor Adams should reconsider, and to talk about having some quality of life team address that.
And so that's the point. That's the point there.
This is ridiculous. These kids don't need a gun.
The police department. So
that's the point of the lesson there, and on that video there, basically, you saw those real YNs, what you call them, YNs, and they were, already how they spin the car all in the neighborhood and all that, cause ruckus and rage, like it's a concert. But that reminded me of this though. Ultimately, that's what it reminds me of. Second Esdras 16. Yeah, Second Esdras 16 is a heavy chapter. When you go into Second Esdras 15, it's talking about the first wave of rounds that the Lord of terror and plagues and destruction that the Lord is going to bring. Then the mark as the beast comes out. Then the Second Esdras, the 16 chapters follows the destruction right after of. Right after a pre-mark of the beast is mandated, implemented. Is the Second Esdras 16 on down to verse 28. For of a city there shall be 10 left, and 2 of the field, which shall hide themselves in the thick groves and in the clefts of the rocks. Come on. Of a city there's going to be 10 left, 2 in the field. 2 in the field means those outside of the city, and 10 left in the city. Like you imagine your whatever city you may live in and its population. Imagine that, but with 10 people in that city, with just 10 people in it. 2 outside of, and another 2 outside of that city. And so that's how much death is going to be happening when this Second Esdras 16 comes to pass. This is verse 23. And the dead shall be cast out as dung. Meaning dung here means shit, manure. And there shall be no man to comfort them. There shall be none to comfort these people. Or anybody for that matter. Just like how it is already. It's like you're feeling right now. Feeling that right now. For the earth shall be wasted. The earth shall be wasted. And what's that earth? It's going to be America wasted. Through thermonuclear destruction. Another prophecy. And the city shall be cast down. So I'm going to jump down to 31. Second Esdras 16, verse 31. Even so in those days there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. God. That's what it reminded me of. It really reminded me of Second Esdras 15. The book of Second Esdras 15, verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. This is before the mass death happens in the third war of the war. Okay, so this is Second Esdras 15 and 16. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. They ain't going to be able to go into no city. These people ain't going to be able to go into any city. Or why? Because it's going to be a declaration of martial law being passed. And you go watch the movies. One fucking movie on Netflix called fucking Leave the Road Behind. That was a good one. I think Obama funded that movie, just showing you how the top, not really higher top, but middleman of the Luciferian stock. No, they even know what's going to happen. Future events that's going to happen. People talk about. They show these movies and shows and tell you that they predict things. Don't believe those stupid things. They don't predict them. They planned them already, and show you in the movies right years before they come to pass. That's one of the first things you learn when you see that your government powers and authorities are messed up, and it's all corrupt and satanic. It's demonic, a demonic system. It's one big, giant demonic system connected together, which is prophesied. That's prophesied in Revelation 17, in Revelation 20, the beast, and in Revelation 13, the beast whose deadly wound was healed. The dragon that was let go of the bottomless pit to be let loose for another 1,000 years. And that's what Esau's been doing since the early 1300s when he gained a stronghold on the papacy. They're in the Italian papacy. And it also reminded me of Second Esdras 13:31. It says right here, and one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. And this is what's going to happen. You saw there in that clip these teenagers going against some Edomite couple. Just say it like that. Just some Edom. They were coming up against an Edomite couple, and more than likely some other Edomites. And the true hatred coming out against Jake as well. Was showing there in the clip there, if you notice. In those kinds of situations, I came out their houses and discussing them YNs up by telling them to turn it down. Angry as hell, telling them to turn it down. Why they're making that much noise in their neighborhood? Because they were doing donuts on their Hellcats and shit. You know, these young niggas, the youth coming up, led astray, our people destroyed, lack of knowledge from the hoods. 2/3. But even there, that was one people against another right there, one realm against another. You're gonna have many forms of that happening soon, more and more by what the Lord's gonna bring here. This scripture here, in particular, 2 Esdras 13:31 here. The Lord's gonna make that come to pass soon, very, very soon. And I also had to get this. This is titled from jns.org. Its title is Michelangelo Dome. And this is what also got me, I have to say, because it's bothering me. They always name these weapons or missile systems after demons and shit. I mean, after angels and stuff. It's called the Michelangelo Dome. This is a missile defense. It's titled Italy Plans Air Defense System Akin to it. This is titled Italy Plans Air Defense System Akin to Israel's. Come on. So it says here that European arms race continues into aerial and aerospace fields as countries looks to protect the key national sites. Italy announced on Thursday plans to develop a multilateral air defense system that works similarly to Israel's fully operational Iron Dome. Okay, so the point I wanted from here was basically that in Joel, the 3rd chapter, we'll get that next. This is going into the nations preparing for war. Prepare for war. This is down here. The state controlled defense and aerospace multinational company, Leonardo SPA, named it Michelangelo Dome, aimed to detect, attack, intercept, and neutralize incoming air threats such as rockets, missiles, and drones, according to Reuters. And why do you think they're trying to do that? Set up this big deal, this big defense system deal here to neutralize rockets, missiles, and drones. That's Italy there. Italy's planning on doing that. Because that's in the book of Joel here. Joel chapter 3, verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. So just to back up on that. They say down here, the move comes on the backdrop of European nations bolstering their defenses and the threat from Russia and elsewhere. That would be China and North Korea. The Michelangelo Dome is expected to protect key sites of national interest, Reuters reported. And also Iran is also a part of that list there too. Part of the threats there they're referring to, along with Russia. Iran's been known and Russia's been known to back each other up, as well as with North Korea and even and China is too. They just ain't gonna say it. The air defense array is slated for operational use from 2028. The Leonardo firm stated. And so by 2028, it's expected that this might be ready. So we might be here that long, or who knows. Italian Defense Minister Guido Crosetto recently called for solutions to combat hybrid warfare threats, particularly for energy infrastructure and airports. That's the point there on that. Basically, this is going to fall only right in line with prophecy. Like Ezekiel 38 here, verse 2. Son of man, set thy face against Gog. That's Gog. It's Russia, the land of Magog. That's Moscow. The chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Tubal is the ancient way for saying Turkey. When you go into the Soviet Union and their area of land they conquered, they had, and prophesy against them. So this was going into them losing the Cold War, which would break up the Soviet Union at its strongest and most prominent state. And say, thus says the Lord, Yahweh Shai, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, and I'm chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. So yeah, I don't think the Lord has any friendly ties with Russia. The Lord's coming from Russia too. Yahweh Shai is coming to destroy the army of Russia too. All the armies, the army military of Japan, the army and military of North Korea, the army and military of China. Lord Yahweh Shai doesn't give a fuck. He's gonna come and take their asses down too. Put his foot up their asses too. And if Vladimir Putin ain't an Israelite, he better repent, because Lord Yahweh is going to have to put chains on him too. This is verse 5. And even if he is an Israelite, Yahushua might take the sword and slice his head off because Yahushua just might not be in the mood. As one scripture says, I'll just get it here. I think it's Revelation 19 verse, let me see. I'll just get to the point of Revelation 19 and 16. And he hath on his vesture on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And that's Yahushua there. I'm going to skip down to the point in verse 19. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth. The beast is America, the kings of the earth, and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse. The horse is the chariot there, the giant spaceship we call it, and against his army. All the angels, all the other minor chariots, it's going to be surrounding Yahushua to back him up. And this military campaign is going to be a military mission, basically, when Yahushua returns. It's actually a military invasion. It already has a date. Matter of fact, it already does have a date. None of us know that. Even Esau, who claims to be God, doesn't know the date when Yahushua. Yeah, Esau. When is Yahushua going to return, motherfucker? You happen to know every fucking goddamn date from every fucking thing. Tell me the date when Yahushua, our Lord, returns then. Because you know every fucking thing, right? You can send this to the elites. Since they know everything, right? Well, tell me this if you know so much. When is the date that Yahushua is going to return, my nigga? Then I believe you're a real, actual motherfucker and can take down Yahushua. I'll renounce Yahushua if Esau Edom can predict the exact same fucking date and time that Yahushua is going to return. Because it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Anyway, I was blacked out there. I got to go back to the point in Revelation. This is Revelation 19, verse 19. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth. Once again, the beast is America. The kings of the earth, there's going to be all the other nations joined up with America, which is all going into death. Describing in detail the other prophetical events that's mentioned in many various scriptures as well. In the minor prophets and more major prophets. In Revelation, the book of the last prophecies, where there's going to be a last major final battle in the Middle East. They call it the Middle East. Near the Middle East, basically, though. Close enough. Gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him. And the beast was taken. The beast, once again, it's mentioning America there in metaphorical terms. And with him the false prophet. The false prophet is going to be Esau is a witchcraft he does here, which is all manner of lies and deceptions and blasphemies. The false prophet there that wrought miracles before him. Yeah, and that's this left-handed Esau's left-hand power. The demons and Satan, spiritual demons, Satan especially prominently are going to Esau and giving him all this information to this technology and what to do, because they have meetings with Satan. They have a seat for Satan. They go, sits down and have a conversation with them to the higher actual level elites, certified elites. I'm speaking on the with which he deceived them. They had this, okay, not your Little Waynes, not your President Trumps. Even though he could get on a higher level, they could decide to put Trump up on a higher level, on higher pay. Because that was been going in, man. Last time I checked, man, I think he walked up to some other Edomite, man, and told him, gave him the look. Basically, that was Esau showing he wasn't playing there. And you can see how much of devil he was when you saw the video. The Trump recent one. that came out. The recent clip that came out.